Any restaurateur who is in the restaurant business, they have to be crazy to, like restaurants are, I would say, chaos machines. There is never a perfect day, never ever. A sane person cannot manage restaurants.
Love that. Whose idea was the sushi donut? Genius. Was that yours or was that?
It was mine. This one was mine. Yes. I went out to find those molds for donuts, etc. And everybody was in a thing like, it's just like, why do you want to do this? I said, okay, see, we have. Innovation is the key. We are not the high-end restaurant where a Japanese chef would take out his knife for doing something like that. We can play around with things.
Yeah.
So yes.
Oh, so good. I know that went all over the Instagram and it was kind of that viral moment. Welcome back to the Flip Dish Takeaways podcast. Today I am joined by the wonderful Vipin from Ikkan Sushi. So,
thank you so much, Will.
You're so welcome. Thank you for being here. We have a load of questions for you because I really want to get to know you, the business, the challenges, the goals, the excitement. Before we do, tell us about yourself. Tell us about the Ikkan story.
So I'll start with myself first. I have been into the industry for almost 20 years, including my hotel schools. And funny enough, I have always worked in Pan-Asian restaurants. Always, most of the time. I have never worked in an Indian restaurant.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's where my love for sushi comes in. So I've worked in Chinese, Japanese, Thai, Pan-Asian restaurants most of the time. Apart from yes, of course, I have worked in bars and clubs as well. So yes, 5 years ago, post-pandemic, when I came to London, me and my investors, all of us, we were juggling our thoughts, what exactly to start. Sushi was the first thing that came to my mind. Because, yes, the love for sushi, of course. So, yes. And then our journey started. We looked for names. So, Ikkan stands for, translates into consistent in Japanese. Mm-hmm. So, we thought of finding a consistent brand. We went around the market, looked for things. We found really good, expensive Japanese restaurants. We found high street stores, which were affordable, but they were not consistent. They were not high quality. So we thought of bridging the gap and finding something in between.
Right.
So affordable, premium sushi. This is what we wanted to bring into the market. That's how we found Ikkan Sushi. So our focus is totally on getting good quality sushi at affordable prices.
And did you happen to land on Ikkan as the word and you thought that's magical? Or was it you started with consistent and wanted to find the translation there? Because that feels pretty powerful as a story, right?
It does, yes. So behind any product, whether it is food or anything else, consistency is one of the most important part in taking it forward in the longer run. So we found many names. Then when we were translating them into Japanese, we found like, okay, Ikkan, consistent. Let's go for it.
It's kind of shocking to me. I've spoken to quite a few hospitality operators, and whenever I ask them what is good, what does good look like, 9 times out of 10, the answer is consistency, reliability, and that I love that you started from that. I mean, the name quite literally started from that.
Exactly, yes.
And you say that 20 years in hospitality, it almost feels like hospitality is in your blood now.
It is, yes.
Was it a sort of family influence? What got you into it? Or was it just a kid going to these restaurants and going, I like that?
I would say like my parents, they were government servants. My mom is a nurse. My father is an army man. They were not into food as such, but like my maternal and paternal parents, grandparents, they were into food. They had their small catering businesses, cafes, etc.
Great.
So I believe like that was like an alternate jump in the genes.
Yeah.
So that's how I came into the hospitality.
It seems to stick with you. There's so few people I know who have got into hospitality and left hospitality because it kind of just becomes your DNA. It becomes who you are. Was there ever a time that you thought maybe hospitality is not right for me, or has it just been?
There was a time, I would say. I went for an interview at like a corporate office. Right. I entered the place and I saw like those computers lined up and I said, no, I really cannot do that. I have to be in the restaurants in actions. Even now, even though I operate like I do not have to work as such, but I love really working in the kitchens, on the floor. I never miss an opportunity to do that.
Love that. So you said earlier that sushi it became natural Pan-Asian. Why was there a sort of gap that you saw in the London market? I mean, you mentioned earlier that there was the difference between sort of luxury and reliable and consistently good quality. You said you went to a lot of restaurants to see it. What were the major learnings when you went to these restaurants? What was it you saw that you went, they're doing that well, or in fact, that could be improved?
See, as I said, like the really good restaurants, they are quite expensive. The
Right.
cheaper ones, they somehow do not come up to the mark for quality. So that's where we felt like, okay, why can't we offer that good quality at affordable prices?
And quality in the fresh produce, quality in the service, quality in what was that you were looking out for mostly?
Yes, see, the most important part about quality is like sourcing the right ingredients. Somehow, some people they try to cut on costs and get substandard materials.
Yeah.
But over here at Ikkan Sushi, what we try to do is like getting the best product. I understand like there are the margins in restaurants are always razor thin, but like still using all the ingredients in like a head to tail sort of concepts to maximize the yield. That's what we have been trying to do.
It does feel like that with sushi, that fresh produce, high quality produce is everything. Of course, hospitality is that way, that chicken shop, you want good chicken. For a burger, you want good burgers. But with sushi, immediately you can tell the difference, right?
You can, yes.
And so you, 4 or 5 years ago, set up Ikkan. What went wrong early days? Was there any mistakes that you made that you went, we can't do that again?
I would say we started. I'll tell you, like when we started Ikkan Sushi, we started as a delivery only brand,
Okay.
and we started on all the major marketplaces. We did not start as a store. I think like when we started, it was more of an experiment. We wanted to know, will it do good? The concept that we have in mind, will it do good or not? We almost waited for almost 1.5 years before starting our brick and mortar stores. I think we should have done that earlier.
Okay. I guess at the time, naturally, COVID was just over the shoulder. Delivery restaurants were popping up everywhere. So it felt like there was a need for the business. But that evolution, that transition was timely, was important, was crucial to the growth. Talking about 5 years ago, there's also been a lot of changes in those last 5 years with cost of goods, with difficulty finding the right people. Some people would say you are crazy, maybe right, maybe wrong, crazy for being in the hospitality industry, the restaurant industry in 2026. What would be your response?
I would say any restaurateur who is in the restaurant business, they have to be crazy to manage restaurants. You know, like restaurants are, I would say, chaos machines. There is never a perfect day, never ever. There would be something like they can be human errors, they can be technical snags, they can be structural issues. So restaurants, to manage restaurants, you have to be crazy. A sane person cannot manage restaurants.
Love that. I actually think you're so right. The best operators are the crazy operators. And I guess I love that outlook, because I was just about to try and change it into a more negative question, but I should probably have kept the positives. There's things that are getting harder for you, right? Because naturally, that's the way that the industry goes. Is there anything creeping up year on year? Is it specifically? I know, obviously, the topic of the moment is the gas prices, the keeping the lights on through the bills, trying to find the right people, keeping the quality of your produce as high as ever been. Is there anything particular that you're struggling with, that you can see a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's something you're struggling with?
Yes, finding the right people is really a struggle. Like last year, we successfully got a sponsor's license to get people from abroad.
Brilliant.
And unfortunately, there were changes in the laws which stopped from getting chefs, managers, etc. from outside the country. So that held us back a lot.
Right.
We really had, identified some really good people, chefs across from outside the UK. Unfortunately, that those doors were closed.
Right.
So we still have really good people in our team. Most of my team members, they have been with me for almost 2.5, 3 years, which is a good sign that, okay, they are doing good, we are doing good for them as well. Yes.
And that in itself, because keeping good people is crucial, right? How have you set up a culture that people want to stay at Ikkan?
I give them the freedom to uh, be innovative.
Right.
Anything, any ideas that people have, I really appreciate them in a way that, okay, if you have an idea, come up with it. We try to formulate those ideas. It can pass, it can fail, right? That's how ideas are.
Yeah.
So I always give them the opportunities to come with new ideas and formulate them.
Whose idea was the sushi donut? I remember seeing a photo about 2 years ago of this donut-shaped sushi, and I thought, that's genius, genius. Was that yours, or was that
It was mine. This one
Oh.
was mine. Yes.
Uh,
I found out. I went out to find those molds for donuts, etc. And
Yeah.
everybody was in a thing like, oh, it's just like, why do you want to do this? I said, okay,
Yeah.
see, we have innovation is the key. We are not the high-end restaurant where a Japanese chef would take out his knife for doing something like that. We can play around with things.
Yeah.
So yes.
Oh, so good. Yeah, I know that went all over the Instagram, and it was kind of that viral moment. So I've gone from the negative outlook, or at least the challenge. The real challenge right now is finding the right people and keeping the right people, which you're doing a great job of. Well done. There's a lot to look forward to, right? I know, speaking to Jaden and the team, they are very excited about what Ikkan will be, and I'm sure you are too. What is it that gets you so excited about the next few years?
See, we have started making our model for franchising out. So we
Great.
already have 3 stores. There's one more store which we are trying to convert into a sushi restaurant at the moment. Apart from that, we are planning to franchise out our stores. So as you correctly said, yes, I have been speaking with Jaden regarding these things.
Right.
He has been helping me out a lot with setting up all the things that we need to help other franchisees to expand as well.
And I guess a lot of the people who will be listening, the operators, for a single site, maybe 2-site business, they might hear franchise management and go, that sounds great, but how do I get there? What has been your learning path to creating a business model that allows for you to start thinking about franchise management or franchising the business?
See, it totally depends on modeling. As I said, like the reason we wanted to do a casual restaurant was it should be easy to replicate.
Sure.
So that's what our model is all about. We have ensured that we do not need the menus that we do. We do not need large spaces. For example, our short dish delivery kitchen, it is less than 200 square feet in total, which can be managed by less than 2 people. The reason I say that is like sometimes we only have one chef there. Sure. Even he can manage that. So the layout of the kitchen, the menu designing, etc., it has to be in such a way that it can be managed with as less people. Because see, I would say staff costs are the highest cost in any restaurant business at the moment. So our menus and kitchen layouts are done in such a way that can be managed with less people.
Wow, it's amazing. I actually I spoke to a lady from a business called 2G Design and Build, Catherine. She is actually responsible for going into businesses and brands and saying, hey, look, the layout of your restaurant isn't optimized for service, optimized for the kitchen operations, for chefs sort of turning around. How have you got to that point where A, it's scalable, B, you've got an environment that people can maneuver around?
See, my overall experience of 2 decades that comes into play here. I have learned from the best. So I have tried to formulate those things into my restaurants as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, finding the right locations, right equipments, planning the layout in a way that it doesn't hinder the operations.
Right.
That has to be focused on.
So bring a Vipin into your business wherever you are.
Exactly.
Someone who's been there. Experience doesn't hurt, right? It's you sometimes need to learn the tricks and go through the pain to go, we can't do that again. So you mentioned franchise management, and something that again is when you get to 3, you kind of you want to get to 5, you want to get to 10, you want to get to 50. As soon as you start scaling, you don't want to stop scaling.
True.
When was the point that you realized you weren't just building for one site, you were building for 3, 4, 10, however many that would be? And what was that moment like for you?
See, initially when we started the business, the whole idea was not to build big restaurants which cannot be scaled.
Right.
The whole idea was to build smaller ones which can be easily replicated. So this idea was in our mind from day one onwards.
Yeah.
So yes.
Brilliant. So from day one, you weren't just thinking about the one. It was always, how can we? I mean, consistency, right? How can we grow at a level, at a scale that we're repeating the brand every single time? You have currently 3 locations, 4 loosely. How do you decide which sites to open, where to open them?
We have to do lots of surveys before finalizing the sites.
Right.
When we go for restaurant scoutings, there are always issues. Sometimes the landlords are not so easy. Sometimes the layout is not so easy. Sometimes the location as such, it may not be very friendly. So our business, it is based, our revenues come in from both dine-ins, takeaways, and lots of deliveries as well. I would say almost like 50% of our revenue, it comes in from deliveries.
Wow.
So so we have to find a location which is value for money for the rent.
Sure.
It has to be accessible for people.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, the delivery radius has to be good as well.
You say good value for the rent. You are in some of the most luxury areas of London. Was that a intentional decision to be around a very, very high footfall, but that again areas of perceived luxury too?
See, as I said, like we started off as a delivery only setup
Sure.
first. When we were scouting for locations, the locations that we have right now, one of them is in Marylebone, which is right next to Baker Street. Really good area with footfall, of course, high rent. The second one, which is in Covent Garden, it is almost half the size of the Marylebone store. The rents are much more higher though. But we wanted to make an impact, like because there are lots of operators already in the market. So we wanted to do something where we are being noticed.
Yeah.
So that was the idea in the first these 2 stores.
And will the growth continue in London, or are you looking already for outside of the city?
We are looking for outside the city.
Okay.
We have like 3 locations in central London already. So we want to be opening the next few stores. They'll be slightly outside London.
May we get any tidbits where they could be?
We are scouting for locations.
Okay,
Nothing.
great.
We will keep you informed.
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
I'm sure there's some people on our side who'll help out. He can give you some recommendations there. That's for sure.
That'll be great.
And you, I can tell. You mentioned there's a location that has one chef most of the time. But you, I can tell you're an incredibly hands-on operator who wants to get stuck in. A lot of the pain that operators have when they scale to 3 sites is the lack of control over what's going on in any single business at any single time, especially when you're not there. How do you manage that? How do you make sure that everything is in the right shape when you're not there too?
See, all the restaurants have one head chef and then there's a manager as well on site. So I keep an eye on what they are doing. That's the most important part. They have operation manuals that they need to follow, which helps them in following the standards that we have set up. So following the standard operation procedures, the SOPs that we call, so they're very important. So it has to be followed strictly. That's how consistency will come.
And did you know that, I mean, of course, 20 years experience helps here, but did you know that from day one that you were, because it's far easier, the prevention rather than having to potentially punish later on down the line, was it always starting with this is our expectation, this is our standard, we don't drop it from there?
Exactly, yes. That's very important, setting up the expectations from the beginning itself. And whenever I hire a staff as well, I meet them personally, I ensure that I tell them my expectations. That, okay, these are the standards that we follow and this is what you need to follow as well. It's very, I tell them verbally, of course, these are mentioned in the contracts as well, the expectations that we have as a company from them.
And what do you look out for in that person when you are hiring? What are the traits, the skills, the characteristics that you will work at Ikkan?
The first and most important thing that I look for is ability to take ownership. That's the most important thing that I think, even at their levels, it doesn't matter, like it's a commis chef, it's a sous chef, it's a kitchen porter, whatever things they are doing, I always tell them that you have to take ownership in what you're doing. Even if it's like washing a plate, you have to wash it as if like you're going to eat in that plate. So that's what I expect from everyone.
Yeah, it's a brilliant outlook. And I think that will keep going if you keep it going, right? When you're growing. And that's one of the challenges with scaling and franchise management is that you need to, the SOPs that you talk about, you need to have that level of expectation because these are the people that represent you, represent the brand.
Cool.
And on that note, I know brand is big for you. When, why, and how do you execute on that brand to say we are a luxury business, we are communicating with our customers? And I think that's something that I'm always really impressed with Ikkan, is that it's very clear you care about your customers. What's gone into that process, into the thinking? Do you have marketing people internally? Do you get consulted, or is that just from what you've seen and what you've done?
We have a team of outsourced marketing team, so that they manage all our marketing at the moment.
Right.
Yes, so we do emphasize, because in this age of social media, marketing has to be spot on.
Yeah.
Yes, it has to be consistent. It has to be every now and then we need to do something special.
I shouldn't ask, but I need to because it's topical. Anything in terms of the World Cup? Any promotions? Any engagement campaigns for getting the World Cup or getting on top of the World Cup buzz?
Nothing in the store at the moment, but online on the marketplaces that we do, especially on Flipdish as well, we are running some really good offers for our customers.
Great.
Yes. We're opening slightly later in the evenings as well, as compared to our regular opening times. Because being in another time zone, the matches are sort of different.
Sorry, your opening hours have changed in the World Cup period.
That's right, yes.
Wow. And in terms of, were you allowed to, did you have to get any permission to, or was that just standard that you could expand the hours a little bit later into the night?
Yes, as I said, we are not operating in store. It's only for the online portals that we are operating slightly longer hours.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, what a great way to do it. I spoke to a lady called Glenda Barber, and she said back in, I think it was March or February time, that if you're not thinking about the World Cup now, then it's probably too late.
Too late.
And I know that was one of those moments when, oh God, it's everything goes quickly. Not many people have your experience. Not many people have some of the skills, the knowledge, the tools that you have. What would be your advice for someone who's coming into the industry from scratch? Where would you tell them to start?
Somebody who doesn't have an experience, I would highly recommend them to start working in a kitchen before they step into owning something like a restaurant.
Yeah.
You need to have hands-on experience on how to manage restaurants, but that can only come in from working inside inside a kitchen or inside a restaurant.
Feeling that pain, living that pain,
exactly,
doing something about it. And if you, I guess, one of the questions I like to ask is, if you had the ability to change one thing, it could be the team, the food, the brand, what would you try and change tomorrow if you had unlimited resources? Would you double the size of the team? Where would you start?
See, I believe the type of setup that we have, I do not need more team members. I think we are very comfortably off. I'm not saying that we are short-staffed. I'm not saying we have excess staff. I think we are just there. What I would want to change is I would have liked to open much more restaurants. It's been almost 2 years that we opened the last store. It was in August 2024.
Right.
We wanted to open in much more quicker successions.
And what stopped you from doing that? Because now I think you've got this intense pursuit of growth. Was there anything at the time that you feel like you overthought what you were doing and that prevented you? Or was it the market conditions that just said, actually, we're probably not ready there yet. Let's get to the point of stability that you can start to grow exponentially?
There were multiple reasons. One of them was the market was so volatile. They were the prices were going up and down. We're not sure what exactly to do. I had some issues with resources as in manpower as well. I felt when I was 3 stores old, I felt okay, I need some more people who can assist me in growing. I wanted to come out of the operations myself so that I could focus more on growing the brand.
Great.
Yes. But finally, I found some good people. I believe we are now starting again. Yes.
So, in terms of, there were a lot of challenges for you to get from one site to two site to 3 site. What was it that really helped you get there?
Following the SOPs, I would say this is the best part, because once you're replicating stores, you just have to do what exactly the right things that you did, avoid doing the wrong ones, and that's the whole formula of replicating stores.
Yeah, I I probably shouldn't admit this, but one of my favorite movies is The Founder, the origins, the McDonald's story, and the whole idea that Ray Kroc and the team would go into every single location. And I mean, the founders of McDonald's, they were making sure that everything was perfect, trying to make sure that everything was standardized, that everything was done in the right way. And of course, I think a big part of their growth, I mean, this is McDonald's back in the 40s, 50s, but their growth has been a big part of their growth has come from, we know what good looks like. We do not drop our standards. And in every single location, we hold that level across the board. It sounds like you've got that absolutely nailed. So well done. A couple questions. I say quick fire. I don't care. Answer it as long as you want, because I want to get to know. The first one, which I won't judge you, I promise, but I know Pan-Asian background. What's your death row meal?
We'd eat Thai red curry with egg fried rice.
Really?
Yes.
Such an immediate answer. You've thought about that one?
You know, I lived on egg fried rice and Thai red curry for almost an year when I was working in one of the best restaurants back in Delhi.
Wow.
I used to eat that daily, literally daily. The chef would say, "How can you eat this daily?" And
No
I can
way.
live this. I can live on this.
I get it.
Yes.
I absolutely get it. Alongside a great beer. Yeah, absolutely. What's one piece of tech that you couldn't live without inside the business right now?
My flip dish boss.
You don't need to say that.
No,
you don't
trust
need
me,
to
trust
say
me.
I'll give you.
Trust
some,
me. This is one thing that I really cannot live without at the moment.
That's great to hear. Is there anything in particular about the pause that makes your life easier?
See, the thing is, like, as I said, like most of my 50% of my revenues come in from delivery sales. So with the integration that with the integration that Flipdish has provided to put all the marketplaces onto one POS system, my life has been so much easier. Changing menus, changing the timings, etc., etc. It has been really helpful with Flipdish.
Love that. So, an earlier question was, what mistake did you make early on not choosing Flipdish immediately?
Exactly. Yes.
No, I'm
the first 2 years I didn't have Flipdish. It's only for the last 2 years that I have had Flipdish. I wish I had taken that much more earlier. I would have been in a better place possibly.
That's incredibly kind to say, and we are thrilled that you've trusted us to be your technology provider of choice. One of the questions that I love to ask, and you, someone who's been in the industry a long time, someone who's worked in a lot of businesses, I really want to know, selfishly, because I'll go there, but what are your favorite restaurants?
I don't have one favorite restaurant. I keep going to multiple places. I don't know. There's a place called Dumplings Legend in Chinatown.
Okay.
I go there for their dumplings.
Amazing.
I can eat lots of dumplings. Like after the Thai curry, dumplings are my most favorite ones.
Awesome. And I guess, is it, when you go into the restaurants, is it the experience? Is it the food? Is it the, what is it? I mean, you're obviously a foodie. Like you love
I'm a foodie. I don't have like a snobby thing. I really do not mind, very down to earth places as well.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I have been to very good high end restaurants, but the food is what is key for me.
Yeah.
Service and everything. Being from the service industry, I know there are things which people possibly they are short staffed, possibly they're not trained so well, etc. I can deal with all of that, but the food has to be spot on. That's the most important for me.
Is that because it's more, you think that getting the food right is more controllable? Or I guess saying that is not right, because you need, you said earlier that you've got a head chef in every location. And I think that obviously is very clear for you that if the food quality drops below a certain level, that's not consistent. That's not you. Dumpling, what was it called?
Dumplings Legend.
I'm going there tonight. I'm going to make my way up to. Is that after a day in the store in Covent Garden, heading up to Chinatown?
Exactly. Yes.
Brilliant.
Like most of my purchases, like whenever we were doing trials, etc., for our menus, Chinatown is the nearest place where we can get all my ingredients. So I used to go there, and small breaks.
Yeah, I love that. And so I mentioned just the Covent Garden, Marylebone. Where do we find you, firstly, as a brand on, I guess, the website, on the marketplaces? Where is the other location?
Sorry, going.
It was Marylebone, Covent Garden, and
There's one in Shoreditch.
Shoreditch,
Yes,
just around the corner.
right around. the corner.
Um,
But that's more of a delivery only
of course
store.
it is.
So you need to use the Flip Dish app to order food from there.
I feel
Yes.
so guilty that you've mentioned Flipdish 3 times now, but I will appreciate it nonetheless. So one last summary. What is, other than the franchise model, what are you excited about going forward in 2026? Is it, it could be outside of the team, the growth, the people. What gets you excited about the future?
Right now, my whole world is about my work at the moment.
Yeah.
So I would say we're coming up with a new menu very soon. So our existing menu, it has been there for almost 5 years now, apart from small changes here and there. So we are looking at revamping the whole menu very soon. So we're
Awesome.
working on the thing. So that's what has kept me excited at the moment.
I love that you live, breathe the brand.
I do.
That is you are, as you said earlier, you have to be crazy to be an operator, and you're crazy about the business. So congratulations. First things first, thank you so much for being here. It's an absolute pleasure. I know, as I mentioned earlier, Ravi, Jaden, they think you're fantastic to work with. So thank you for being a customer of ours,
Thank you.
thank you for being here today. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of the Flip Dish Takeaways podcast. Today I've been joined by the wonderful Vipin over at Ikkan Sushi. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time.